Welcome to the Explainer. We are absolutely surrounded by data that's constantly trying to tell us something. But what if those stories are being twisted? Today, we're going to give you the keys to unlock the 3 most common charts so you can see the real story for yourself.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at how to track stories as they unfold over time. Then, we'll get into comparing different groups, head to head. After that, a really crucial part, the dark arts of data viz, how to spot when you're being misled. We'll wrap up by mastering how to slice up the data, and then we'll pack it all into your own personal toolkit.
All right, first up, the time series graph. You can think of this one as the storyteller's stopwatch. It is the perfect tool for when you need to watch a story unfold, track how things change, and spot those critical patterns as they're happening.
So, how exactly does this thing work? Well, the secret is right there in the name: time. The whole idea is built on plotting some kind of data against the steady march of seconds, or days, or years. This graph is built on something called time series data. Now, that might sound a little complex, but it's actually super simple. You're just taking snapshots of one specific thing at regular moments. Think about tracking the daily price of a stock, or the weekly number of flu cases in your city. That's all time series data is. And you know what? Making one is surprisingly easy. Time always runs along the bottom. That's your horizontal x-axis. And the thing you're measuring, that goes up the side, the vertical y-axis. You just plot your points, connect the dots, and bam, just like that, a story starts to take shape right in front of you.
And that's really the whole point. The magic of a time series graph is that it makes trends impossible to miss. Are sales climbing? Is there a sudden spike in a disease outbreak? Is a stock taking a nosedive? This graph gives you that answer in one single, powerful line.
Okay, let's add another tool to our kit. This one isn't about the flow of time, it's all about comparison. So when you need to see how different groups stack up against each other, it's time to, well, raise the bar with a bar chart. But listen, for a bar chart to tell an honest story, it has to play by a few simple rules. The bars have to be the same width and evenly spaced out. That prevents any visual trickery. And most important of all, everything needs a label. Because without a title and labeled axes, you don't have a story, you just have a bunch of meaningless rectangles. Now this is a super common point of confusion, the histogram. They look almost the same, right? But they do totally different jobs. A bar chart compares separate, distinct things, like different brands of cars. But its cousin, the histogram, shows you the distribution of continuous numbers, like people's ages, and the bars usually touch to show that there are no gaps in the data.
Okay, this brings us to what might be the most critical part of this entire explainer, because these simple, powerful tools can be weaponized. In the wrong hands, a tiny tweak can turn an honest chart into a piece of visual propaganda that's designed to fool you.
And this isn't just some theory. As statistics lecturer Monica Wahi points out, one of the oldest tricks in the book is just to mess with the scale of the axis. It's such a subtle change, but it can completely warp the story the data is actually telling.
Let's see this in action. Here we have a bar chart showing the percentage of people without health insurance broken down by ethnicity. Now, take a look at the vertical axis, the scale. It goes from 0 to 35%. The differences between the groups, they seem pretty clear, right?
Okay, but watch this. We're using the exact same data, but we're just going to shrink that axis so it only goes up to 30%. And instantly, all the bars shoot up. Suddenly, the differences between the groups look way more dramatic, almost alarming.
Now let's go the other way. Let's stretch that axis way out, all the way to 70%. See what happens. With the same exact data, those differences now look tiny, almost insignificant. Someone could easily use this chart to argue that this problem is no big deal.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the main point here. The scale you choose is just as important as the data itself. Think of it like the frame for your picture. Change the frame and you change how you see everything inside it. So always check the axes. Okay, on to our final tool. This is the one you've definitely seen everywhere, from business reports to news articles, the pie chart. Its job is very specific, to show how a single whole thing is divided up into parts.
But pie charts have one non-negotiable, absolute golden rule. They only work with what's called mutually exclusive data. It's a fancy term for a really simple idea. Every piece of your data can only fit into one slice of the pie. You can't be in 2 places at once. One person, one vote, one category. That's it.
Here's the perfect example. If you ask what is your one favorite color, a pie chart is perfect.
Each person picks one color, and all the answers add up neatly to 100% of the people you asked. But if you ask, check off all the colors you like, you have to use a bar chart. Why? Because people can pick multiple colors, and your totals are going to add up to way more than 100%. It's just not a single pie anymore.
And hey, here's the pro tip that will make your pie charts instantly better. Always show the percentages. A raw number like 244 people doesn't really mean much without context, but showing that it's 69% of the total, that tells you the real story right away. It's the huge majority. Percentages give you the context that raw numbers just can't.
So there you have it. We've just explored 3 really powerful tools for telling stories with data. Now, let's do a quick recap of our visual toolkit and lock in those essential rules for making every graph you see or create as clear, honest, and effective as possible.
So here's your quick cheat sheet. If you need to show trends over time, grab that time series graph. For comparing different groups, use a bar graph. To show parts of a whole, the pie chart is your best friend, as long as the data is mutually exclusive. And to see the shape of your numbers, use a histogram.
And just remember, no matter which chart you pick, these 4 rules are absolutely non-negotiable. Always give it a title, always label your axes, always tell us what the units of measure are, and above all, just make it clean and easy to read. Because at the end of the day, an honest graph is a clear graph.
And that brings us right back to our first question. But now you have a new perspective. You are now equipped with the visual toolkit you need to decode the data all around you. So the next time a chart flashes across your screen, ask yourself, is it playing by the rules? Is it telling me the whole story or just the story someone wants me to see? The power to know the difference is now in your hands.